NutriCast.
Study
and play come together on a Windows 11 PC.
And for a limited time, college students get
the best
of both worlds. Get the Unreal College Deal. Everything you need to study and play with select Windows 11 PCs. Eligible students get a year of Microsoft 365 Premium and a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with a custom color Xbox wireless controller. Learn more at windows.com/student offer. While supplies last. Ends June 30th. Terms at aka.ms/collegepc.
When you need to build up your team to handle the growing chaos at work, use Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It gives your job post the boost it needs to be seen and helps reach people with the right skills, certifications, and more. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hiring hero? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
All right, and welcome to the Money Round. I am the money coach.
Yes,
and,
you are.
Yeah. And I finally got my screen sharing going. So it's hard for me to do two things at once. And we're brought to you by Extreme Training, where the elite come and train with the elite. And today we are honored and just excited to have Wrestling Prep's finest, Coach Carolyn Wester, who's been all over the world preaching the gospel of wrestling prep and movements and just wrestling and MMA. Hey, the video you sent yesterday was so cool with Coach what's his name again?
Eric Everson.
Like, did he personally send that to you, or he posted that?
He sent it to me, and I think it's okay for me to post it if I wanted to.
You may think you know McDonald's drinks, but you don't know them like this. From fruity refreshers like the Strawberry Watermelon Refresher and the Mango Pineapple Refresher with popping boba, to crafted sodas like the Sprite Berry Blast with berry-flavored Sprite topped with cold foam. Who knew ice-cold drinks could be so fire? 6 all-new drinks are here. Try them all, now at McDonald's. Refreshers contain caffeine.
I just didn't post it.
Okay. Yeah, no, it was cool. And I remember you showing that at the gym. That was so crazy.
He just told me a story recently that he was, one of the first time I was showed it to him, we were at the PI with Paulo Costa and his brother Carlos. And they were asking me about striking. And I said, like this. And they said, they said later when they were all talking, they're like, I just don't know. Then they all went to Abu Dhabi to some esteemed coach. And he said, sure as the world, the head coach in Abu Dhabi taught it the exact way I did. A little different terminology, but the same, motion.
Did you coach that fighter yesterday?
Nope.
No. Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah.
I think he was just saying they're using the same.
Yeah.
The same technique, and I think we also saw. I saw in the main event, Sean Strickland use his body in a way that was very wrestling prep forward. And
get business done with the new American Express Graphite Business Cash Unlimited card. With unlimited 2% cash back on all eligible purchases, unlimited 5% cash back on flights and prepaid hotels booked through American Express Travel Online, and a flexible spending capacity that can grow with your business, you'll have the confidence to keep building. Apply today and earn a welcome offer of $1,500 cash back after you spend $50,000 in qualifying purchases on your new card within the first 6 months of card membership. Terms apply. Learn more at go.amex/graphite.
His wrestling partner for this whole fight camp was Johnny Elbin, who I only worked with a couple of times when I was with Jorge Masvidal, just minor. But we did talk about, those knee forward, and he caught, Chimaev pretty well by putting his knee forward. But I don't have anything to do with Sean Strickland's anything. You know what I mean?
So, like, this is what, I always ask you this, like, how did you, I'm going to call it movement, but I don't want to insult you. Like, how did you see these movements and then figured out a pattern for people to build upon them, which can help their grappling, wrestling, MMA, jiu-jitsu, whatever? Like, how did you see it?
I think I was at Stanford. My son was wrestling in the kids club. And then I was there for the high school practices too, just hanging out because they kind of coincided. Lots of, how the guys come in, college kids come in to get extra work.
Right.
And I was just watching and I'm like, oh, that structure would be stronger. That structure would be better. That structure would have more velocity. There'd be more torque. The strength training they're doing would express themselves better in that technique if there was a series of 90-degree angles or there was a rotation of the structure to move it forward, or if there was a diminished, a diminished horizontal plane. Those are the things that I saw. And I realized that they were trying to teach these kids by situation, by do it like you just physically saw me do it, and they just couldn't apply it. So when I watch someone or I'm working with someone of most any sport now, I can watch and go, okay, this is what I see. First things first, we're gonna, move our body forward this way. We're gonna use this muscle and this muscle, and let's displace what you've been doing before and see how much better you feel moving forward. And they're like, whoa, I feel so much better moving forward. Well, they'll describe, an MMA fighter will describe that they're trying to take their body forward, but they can't engage or cross or transfer their weight to do the next piece of chain movement, whether it's a shallow kick, an oblique kick, overhand right, whatever it is, they can't transfer their weight. And and I see all of that, and then I can make that better. But to come up with that initial group, I realized that these youth kids, seventh, eighth graders, were being overwhelmed by the amount of information they were being given. So if we could pull, 85% of the technique that we could get to work against the best math-based structure a human can build with their body, and then teach them that muscle order in a separate learning experience than from the technique, that they would stand a chance of learning to activate those muscles and then apply it. Because wedged in their learning experience is their relationship in their mind with their parents, and their parents or the coach expressing themselves in a way that makes the athlete feel very uncomfortable and scared.
So,
In my opinion.
and what you kind of broke down to me in my layman's mind is why like Russia and some of these other countries start out with gymnastics.
Yeah, I suspect that's probably true. I think a prime example, one of the first times I realized, besides just the immediate respect I received from the whole Dagestan contingency, because before Habib came to AKA, Ruslan Magomedov and some other Russian fighters came to AKA. So I'd already had some live in my home. I'd already worked with some, and they were really comfortable with me, and they weren't as comfortable with some of the other ways that wrestling was being taught, or the transfer of their weight from jujitsu to striking. It wasn't resonating with them. So the issue becomes in now. So Russians do gymnastics. I think a lot of what we've been doing over the years is now filtered in. We see it expressing itself in the technique of lots of the Russians. And I can tell that when I'm in Estonia or I'm in overseas or Thailand, the amount of people that come up and talk to me who know me that are Russian. But I think in America, they kind of decided, oh, we're going to do tumbling. And so they have them doing all these tumbling, but they're having the athletes use their muscles in a way and land the pieces of tumbling technique in a way that is not congruent to wrestling. In fact, it's the opposite. It's what we hope never happens, right? So yeah, I think that's true. And then, from experience with Jacob Saunders, I think by the time I started working with Joshua, he already had a lot of established technique. But I think Nolan focused a lot on having him learn how to body leverage while he was starting to learn any technique.
I think I'm skipping subjects on you just because I was really thinking about this. Like the video you put of Jaden O'Farrell hitting that head pinch. It was probably to me like one of the best videos just because I saw how he was able to run his feet first to really get that guy moving and then hit the under over and really got arch. And you mentioned Jacob Saunders, and I think when Jacob hits it, he misses the first part of maybe getting his feet moving to get he hits to the under and he can't get their he's not ready to take on their body weight. If that makes sense.
Yeah, because the structure he's building is not
Yeah.
accurate.
Yeah. But it was amazing for that video with Jaden how he pieced it all together so fast for
Yes,
me.
it was interesting. So, I'd never really worked with Jaden too much. I had one experience at the compound a while ago, and Jaden and Mia were there
Right.
along with, Bo and Keegan and Melvin and everybody else that's up there. And it was a really positive experience. So when the O'Farrells reached out to me and said that they wanted him to come down and work with me coming off an injury, he'd just gotten cleared and he had about 4 or 5 weeks before the US Open. So when they asked him to come, I could tell and remember with Jaden that I was not going to be able to take a long approach. I was going to have to take a very short approach with him. So I had him show me what he felt were going to be the 3 key pieces of technique that was going to differentiate himself and allow him to make this team. And when he showed it to me, I had Jack Silfies, right? Not a world team member, not a PA state champ, just an average wrestler. Good, but average, right? Not hasn't made that jump yet. I had him get in the position that Jaden described most of the opponents get in. And he was able, like with that particular head pinch, instead of bringing his leg under to do the over-under, he just fell to his hip, and tried to roll him using just the torque of the arm, but without any functionality of his legs. So then I restructured Jack and and Jaden was like almost 190 then.
Right.
And Jack is what, 145, maybe 140. And I was able to get Jack to put his position, then asked him to use muscles in a certain order, and Jaden could not execute the head pinch. And there's a little clip in there where I'm talking about that with the two of them. And so once Jaden realized there was a body structure that could defeat what he was doing, he wanted to know what to do. So when I showed him, it's a leg, 1, 2, 3, and then the opposite leg. So if you're going to take your right leg under, it's going to be left leg, right leg, left leg. Bring them in at 90 degrees. So you're starting with your hips over your knees. You bring your leg in at 90 degrees. You bring it forward. So the angle between the calf and the hamstring diminishes to about, anywhere from 70 to 50, 40 degrees maybe to pull in. So then lift his right leg up to the second story and rotate it as if he was trying to take his knee to his opponent's ear and then drop it under and pull straight across so his toe goes directly under his belly button. And then once he's there and he's got his arms where he wants them, which we worked on. He's here right now this week. So we actually were working on that today with Rob Pandy and a bunch of good Mason Brown, a bunch of good kids are here. Once we got it pulled under, he was able to use that right leg like a jack for a car. So he's able to jack them up and push with his glute hinge forward in such a way that allows him to bring his hip under instead of kicking over or falling to his hip. And that full length of torque from the structure he built with his hands all the way to his knee coming under and pushing. That's why he was able to lift his opponent up in the air when he took him over instead of doing just falling down, because once Jaden got that was going to be effective, then he was happy to do ad nauseum over-unders and let me correct.
Awesome. Yeah, now, you broke it down too. I think some of it might have went above my head, but I understood it more than I ever understood it these last 12 years. I'll tell you that.
We've known each other a long time, it feels like.
I
think oh, go ahead. You go.
No, go ahead.
I think so.
Well, I was going to ask you about Thailand. Now, you were just recently out in Thailand. Tell us, how did you get there and like, what did you do there?
Well, it was great. So I did all kinds of things when I was there. Someone had reached out to me who I'd worked with online and invited me to come to a smaller island, Koh Phangan, and do a clinic at this really great jiu-jitsu place, Alpha Training, with this unbelievably cool Russian guy, Anton. And I went there for 4 days and did a 3-day clinic there. And then I went on over to Phuket. And there, my business partner, Haney, came over from Bali. And I went to Pichai and I did a 2-day clinic there. And then I went over to Bangtao and did a lot of private training at
Was this
Bangtao.
all gyms, or were there?
Yes. So when you get to Thailand, it's crazy. It's almost like MMA is a tourist attraction. So I went to Pichai, and I'm used to, I mean, I don't mind if people come in when I'm doing a camp or a clinic, but like a tour bus pulls and all these people jump off and they're watching and taking pictures and asking to have pictures while you're in the middle of instructing people. And it's like a community of people walking around on riding mopeds and walking around with flip-flops, doing MMA everywhere. And some are doing it for they're practitioners, they're hobbyists, and some are downright, serious in, PFL and other organizations, a lot of UFC guys. I saw so many people I knew that I didn't even know that they're in the country. I mean, I knew before I went over there that three of the guys, Rustam, Serbiv, Moha, who's a Chechen that practices with Daniel. He's at Daniel's Fight Academy, and Mo Alag, who now I think lives maybe in Dubai. We're all there training. And some of the men from Bangtao had asked me had signed up to do some privates with me, and then they were some of the head instructors there. So it was so interesting when I went over to Pichai's a little bit, it's big, but it's not as big as Bangtao or AKA Thailand.
Okay.
So as fate would have it, Javier Mendez was in Phuket also, hanging out while
Javier Mendez, the AKA coach in California, used to.
Yeah, well, he lives in Dubai now. He's the head coach of Habib's team.
Okay.
And Ron Kessler runs AKA San Jose, and Mike Swick owns AKA Thailand.
Gotcha.
AKA Thailand is this beautiful, like TV set worthy, everything matches. It's so unique. It is a resort destination. If you want to spend 2 weeks or 8 months getting in shape and learning how to be a fighter, whether you're actually ever going to do it or you just want to learn the craft, AKA Thailand. Bangtao, I was so stunned. You pull on, it's like pulling on to a college campus. You come in there and there are people everywhere. And you look over and there's a Muay Thai class that's got 170 people in it. And I'm like, to Anwar, Gilmore, I said, are these all fighters? He goes, no, they're just people who came to be here to learn. He goes, the pro fighters are over here. And then I saw so many people I knew. It was crazy. In fact, I was almost a little overwhelmed by the number of people that were there training who, before I even got across, 10 feet in, were, pulling on my arm and asking, if I would take a picture, if I would hang out with them. And so that was crazy. And then I turned around and Juan Archuleta is walking by. I'm like, Juan, all these people I knew. And then, of course, the Hickmans, Frank and George, who are part owners of Bangtao. I've known Frank in particular. I've known George a while, but not as long as I've known his younger brother, Frank. So, and then everybody just wants to learn. They just want to learn.
Yeah, it's one thing I would say too is like, I think a lot of people are catching on and getting it, but I think you're just so far ahead of the time, right? Because there's always this saying, wrestling's been around for 1,000 years. There's nobody's going to show nothing new, right? But there is. There is a way to approach it. And, I think some of it's just you're ahead of your time. I think, once people realize, it might be too late by then, they realize like how ahead of the game you were.
Well, so this is the immediate reaction so I'm at Bangtao, I meet all these people, I do a little things, and then I got contacted almost immediately, asking me if I would come back for an extended period of time and conduct a seminar multi days, and they immediately, want me back. So I believe I'll be heading out there probably at the end again of November and staying for a more protracted period of time.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, and like not only did you go to Thailand, didn't you make like a whole tour in the Eastern world over there?
Well, not on this trip, but right before I went to, I was there was an athlete that I worked with for a very long time named Phil Tam, who is associated with and instructs at Stevie Ray's Braveheart MMA in Scotland,
Oh yeah.
and who just signed a bare knuckle deal this past week. He's coming back. He's an incredible former UFC fighter, and he's coming back to bare knuckle. And then 3 years ago, a fighter named Ryan Roddy, who'd been very successful in Bellator, and I think a lot of people knew him because he was McGregor's former workout partner. But I think they, went their own ways when McGregor's, Ryan has young children. And he cares what they think about him. You know what I'm saying? And that's my impression of Ryan. So Ryan, I said, hey, Ryan, I'm being asked to come to Scotland. He's like, come to Ireland. And then when I started to do that, I guess they were posting on like the UK MMA. And then I got a call from a group in Birmingham, England to come there too. So I went to Scotland for a week, Ireland for a week, Birmingham for a couple of days, coached all these places, had a great experience. Can't wait going back, and it's just so incredible how enthusiastic everybody is for a new piece of knowledge. They really want to do it. And it's amazing to me the number of people this year for the regular wrestling prep, the 2 weeks of wrestling prep summer camp, how many people that are on U17, U15, U20, colleges where the kids are calling, going, hey, they're saying at one of the top 5 finishing NCAA schools, you need to go back to her. And there's two U17 team members for Baku are been here staying through the rest of this week until I go to Montana on Friday. They're saying that their coach is like, oh, you need to go back. You need to go back. And it's funny what you were saying about how in Thailand they were just so interested in learning. I mean, you go into Bangtao, you go into AKA San Jose, and there's lots of great fighters there. Or you go to Daniel's Fight Academy, there's lots of great fighters there. But the local economy is not set up around you living and training for MMA. But that's normal there. Like, everybody, like you see all the mopeds heading to Peach Eye, everybody jumps off, they all go get this thing called a Sha or a Lulu, and it's lime and apple cider vinegar, and it's all mixed together with like low light tonic water, and they're all hydrated, and and they spend literally hours sitting on the edge of the mat like you and I would do if we could force Jacob Saunders and Momo Worthy to keep doing the stuff over and over,
Right.
for a long time. Like playing and fiddling. It was a fascinating experience.
Right. Speaking of Momo Worthy, now he won that spot for U15, right?
Yeah.
So he's going to the Pan Ams for the U15.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. And I got to really hang around him that week we did the camp with you. And even from the U17 Pan Am trials to the US Open, he got better fast. Like he's a good student.
He's a good student. Well, he's a good student, and his dad has raised him and his brothers and his sister Zoe, who just won her first tournament, to have capacity to learn, and he's taught them how to organize their lives while they're learning. He does not take any shortcuts for his children. He makes his children learn what it is they need to do to support their lives. Right. So everything's they're very organized. Like if whoever's in charge of meal prep for the day, everything's organized. When they leave the door, they know what they're eating all 3 meals. They know what time they're doing their homework. They know what the expectation is when they're going to hit the door and they go back. They know whose laundry is going first, and they know.
Awesome.
And so they thrive wherever they are.
Nice.
And it's so funny. I'm waiting for somebody to ever post, I'm responsible for the worthies because anybody who knows that group, Maurice is responsible. There's a lot of coaches in the stacks who all, I'm sure, have different levels or continuing influence, and hopefully even me, as you met them down in my place. But I would never say, not like I would Chrissy Creason, you know, I'm responsible for that.
So, like, tell us, some people just don't know. I mean, they see you now and I know like the one video where we back arch and walk your hands down, like blew up on UWW a few years back. And so people coming in now, like who did you start with developing this and
Oh,
maybe some others that people may not
yeah,
know
so
back in the
that
day?
was kind of a unique situation. Occasionally someone comes on along that's got an athletic talent or ability that doesn't express itself in technique the same way that others do. And that's what happened when I met Jason Welch. So, I wouldn't say I was like a huge influence on Jason. There's a lot of video, even on Flow, of Jason talking more about my influence on him with him. But I would say I could see that Jason could do things in an expedited way that negated the effectiveness of other people, from a kid who absolutely never lifted a weight to maybe his senior year in high school, and he was played football the same time he played soccer, and he made all state football and all state, of course, won the state championship. So it was him. And then there was a group of kids who came to Stanford to the club there who were in high school that were scattered from up at Concord with CYC, up there where Robbie Smith is from originally, down through Gilroy. And so then once they started coming to me on Sundays or unobligated time, and I spent so much time helping them get better at wrestling and analyzing. And I started to have them, when I would watch them all, how it is, technique ebbs and flows. So this is popular for these 2 years. This was popular years ago, went away, now it's back. And I could see that they couldn't execute it as effectively as possible because they weren't using their muscles in the same order. So we started fiddling with that, and we would just play with it over and over. Then there were the Castle Boys, Blake, Dominic, Mario Castle, who ended up wrestling for St. Paris Graham. And there were other people that came in and out, Little Vic Pereira, where they all came in and out, and we just fiddle, fiddle, fiddle.
That's crazy. It's awesome. That's awesome. So, all right. So, what you got going on in Montana? Is that another camp people are invited
Yeah,
to,
I have two
or?
camps in Montana this year. I'm up to Billings, Montana this coming week. Then I'm back for 2 days, and then I go to Louisville, Kentucky, back home, and I do some clinics there every year. And I'm in Louisville, then I'm back like 3 or 4 days. I think some of the guys from the U17 team are going to be back for 3 or 4 days, and then I'm out the door for the whole month of June. I'm not here at one day. I go to Colorado, and from Colorado, I'm going over to do a second clinic in Arizona and in Phoenix, and I'm sure I'll go to Fight Ready and see Angel Cejudo and all those guys, and they'll come to that camp. That camp was wildly successful. And then I go from there to Minnesota, with for Marcus Levestre.
Oh, Sylvester. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he's the big deal. So I met him years ago with the Manvilles when they were living in Minnesota, and then he brought his daughter and wife to camp last year and came to the coaches clinic, and he's like, "We want you." And then I go from there to Iowa to Davenport, and I just met Pat Milicic and those guys. I was in Vegas last week doing
Pat
the
Miletich, like the fight, Pat
yes,
Miletich?
Steve,
Yeah.
yes, Steve Pat. And he's like, he was mesmerized with my seminar. JJ Howland, as you know, was right before me.
Yeah.
And then Pat, and Pat and all of those people they were like, of course, if you make a straight line, that if you wide leg when somebody's circling, of course that's better. And they were fascinated. And they're all saying they're coming to Iowa, and he's like, I want you to be on my podcast because intellectually, I think he and I connect. He's
Right.
he's ahead of himself and what he does in other
It,
things besides MMA.
it was so interesting. I throw the story in. So, Bryson Green, who you train a little bit. So Bryson has this thing, kind of what you just said, the straight line. When they do a go behind, he's turning toe heel. And I think he's not rotating enough because he's a little bit. He's not meeting them at the spot where
Yeah,
they would be at. He's meeting them. He's letting them beat them there a little bit.
yeah.
And Frizy was saying, "Oh, you got to stop him from doing that." I'm like, "No, you don't stop him from doing it. You just got to figure out how to coach it."
Yes.
and because Bryson's doing it, he's close. He's just somewhere he's missing
Well,
something. I'm trying to figure it out for him.
well, I know what it is, and I can show you. I'll send you a video
Okay.
tomorrow.
All
I'll
right.
get Ben's back in town, so I'll make a video tomorrow. But what people do, they get so caught up in worrying about whether or not their kid wins. Some because they genuinely don't want their kid to be discouraged, and some because they want to be able to say the time, money, and effort is showing itself because they're probably getting pressure from someone. But instead of letting them evolve, they try to bring them back. And then when you hit somebody who's evolved, like I think if I've never ever done anything with Ben Askren, but Ben was at ASU when Jason was coming up, and Jason would go over and train sometimes at ASU. They would overlap. But I bet you $50 if I watched Ben, I would see the math of it. And I would go, oh, here's where he's got a 90-degree angle and here. But if you hear anybody talk about him, they go, oh, he's just funky. There's no one like him. And Jason Welch coined the phrase, because he was just talking about a scramble, and he's like, scramble by design. That's what Carolyn is teaching, is scramble by design. And it can be taught. It can be taught.
That's awesome. Yeah, and just with that whole experience though, where the coach was like, "Oh, I got to get him to stop doing it," and I'm like, "No, he's right. Just got to figure it out." He's there. He's like, he's gonna get cradled. He might.
Probably was so interesting today. Jaden O'Farrell asked that same question. Ben Harder is back from school,
Okay.
so Ben is very strong at body leveraging. So, but not near as experienced as Jaden and some of the Rob and those guys at wrestling and competition. So he went to a school that didn't have a wrestling high school program. It was a hobby for him. So Jaden goes, "What does he do?" And I said, "I watch them." So Ben wide-legged, right? He wide-legged in, and Jaden went to reach. And so when he wide-legged, we went from heel to toe, he just kept turning his toe another 180 degrees. And so Jaden's trying to cradle Ben, and Ben turns and Jaden just falls to the side. So he's just completing the circle on a different plane. When you watch somebody wrestle, it's not just what you one thing or piece of technique. Like when people watched Jaden, they said, "Oh, he head pinched," and I'm just like, "Oh, he just over undered," right? Because to me that's what I saw.
Right.
And but when you really think about it, if you watch Chrissy Creason's finals match at B this year, you'll see him. He rotates his foot. There's actually some still pictures, and he rotates his foot and his knees here. And the guy is just like panicked because here Chris is coming with his left leg on the second story to come over top of him and finish it. Because Chris is rotating. Not only is he shooting, he's rotating his body on the vertical, not just the horizontal.
Yeah.
So his foot is rotating on the vertical, top to bottom.
Yeah.
His knee is down. He's lifting up his leg, and his leg is rotating horizontally parallel to the mat, the knee, and he just ran the person over.
Man, like, and you're making me a better coach because I'm actually starting to finally, I can see it better now. Like, I know like I see it when somebody does it, I can see it like, oh, there it is. Okay, yeah, they went through it. All right, coach, I have to stop you short because we got a money round. I got to take you through this.
I'm ready.
All right, you ready? I already know your answers.
Finished.
I'm asking: pizza or hamburger?
Oh, hamburger.
Chicken or steak?
Steak.
Popeyes or KFC?
I have to say KFC because I'm from Kentucky.
You're from Kentucky.
And I knew John Rock.
Do you, especially since you're from Kentucky, pop or soda?
Oh, pop.
Pop. You call it pop. All right.
Yeah, pop.
Would you rather have a bear or a chimpanzee as a pet?
Bear.
Well, I see that you're in the penthouse here. Would you rather have ghosts or roaches in your penthouse?
Oh, a ghost, a ghost.
Ghosts.
They can hang out on the balcony and talk to me at night about the neighbors.
All right, all right. Michael Jackson or Prince?
Prince.
Oh, you got Prince over Michael Jackson? Hey, I just saw a true story.
Because, you know what? Oh,
Huh?
did you go to the movies today?
No, I'm about to go here after this. But I saw a story. Did you know Prince tried to run Michael Jackson family off the road? I just saw a whole thing about it.
Like in a vehicle?
Yeah, true story. Supposedly.
You know what? For Prince, I think I saw him. He was at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and his ability to play all these different instruments. Like, but he cracked the guitar, and Ginger Baker and all those guys were there. Steve
That's
Winwood,
awesome.
you know, all these great guitarists. What's his name? Mark Knopfler.
Yeah.
And he's like ripping the guitar, and they're just like. So I think I had a lot of respect for that.
Okay, I can see that. All right. Sprawl or head blocks?
Knees forward, run through.
Uh-huh. Spladle or cradle?
Cradle.
Batman or Superman?
Oh, Batman.
Would you rather be attacked by a shark or a tiger?
Well, I don't like fish at all, so I'm going to take the tiger.
The tiger gonna kill you.
I'm good with a gun. I'm not going to have a gun in the water.
Just a big one. Five Guys or In-N-Out Burger?
Oh, in and out.
In-N-Out.
20 years in California, there is no other.
That is true. On your peanut butter and jelly sandwich, if you ate that, strawberry or grape jelly?
Strawberry.
Escape or reversals?
Oh, escape.
All right. If you could wrestle or coach against anyone dead, present, or alive, who would it be?
Ruben Valencia.
Ruben Valencia.
Yeah, we're buddies. We like that. We like that. We like that. Ruben has been a behind the scene true friend for a very long time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So, all right, Coach. So you started in California. Now you're back on the East Coast of Virginia. Like, do you plan on staying there?
Yeah, well, I have a space in Vegas, but I do plan on staying. I am going to go to California. I'm going to be doing. There's a documentary coming out by this successful athlete in the Netherlands who has been successful in several types of sports, and he's being followed in his journey to try to become a MMA fighter and potentially a UFC fighter or a UFC world champ. So their filming crew is going to be with me for 6 weeks. So the first 4 will be from our camp in California, starting the second one in July through yours in my camp, and 1 more week when I get back from Costa Rica, and then I'm going to Daniels to Daniels Fight Academy.
Oh, yeah. He called me this morning, so he said he want me out there. Maybe we'll see. We'll see.
Well, you should come with me at the same time I go,
So
we can run amok.
Just tell you, we have short time. I mean, it's so crazy. This seemed like this was the fastest podcast I did. It don't seem to go this fast. I think we were nerding out over here. I'm getting all this information.
I'm the queen of nerding out. I love for people to want to nerd out with me. It makes me happy. It was really great. I tell you the day I got teary-eyed because all the kids that were here this week, some different levels, like King Hawkins and some other people, they know what I'm saying. And we were able to take it further. Because Jaden has a super long body, short legs. Rob's got long legs, short body. And I was able to show them on their pool. I'm like, Ben, now wide leg. And Ben's like, we've never done that. I said, do it. And then it was just so effective. And we were able to take it to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And they're so excited. They're like, I have never, ever realized this is so much stronger. This is more effective. I feel more secure. And Rob even talked to his mother into letting him stay longer and not get back to school tonight. So he's staying a little bit longer with them.
All right, we're about to cut us off. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll definitely post this up as soon as possible.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Selling your car should feel like one less thing on your list, not one more. With Carvana, it is. Just go to Carvana.com, enter your license plate or VIN, and get a real offer down to the penny. No back and forth, no surprises, just an experience you can trust. Like your offer? Accept it. Schedule pickup, and we'll come to you with a check in hand. Your car, your timeline, your terms. Visit Carvana.com to sell your car today.
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.
I'm sure there is going to be more than one unpleasant surprise before we're done.
Let's go! If you like the kind of podcast where the truth gets weird, you'll love Debug with Patrick Bass. It's where true crime crashes into AI, conspiracy meets comedy, and no topic is too strange to touch. From hackers to ghost hunters, cult survivors to code breakers, Debugged brings wild guests, real stories, and zero filter. New episodes every week. Search Debugged with Patrick Bass on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your next obsession. Decoding the truth.
Electricast.